And of course, we're getting views on your screen right now, our first views of the capsule on its way back to Earth. We've got a lot more trajectory information on the screen right now, so you can continue to follow along as Dragon makes its way back toward its splashdown site, which, again, just in case you're joining us a little bit later in the program, today we are splashing down off the coast of California instead of off the East Coast, which is what you've probably typically seen if you've joined us for crew recoveries in the past. Today we're targeting a touchdown just off the coast of Oceanside here in California.
Yeah, and we are expected to splash down at 9:18 a.m. Pacific time, and we are still currently in the blackout comms period, but we are expecting to come out of that any minute now. And this is the recovery zone where the vehicle will be splashing down with the recovery ship Shannon patiently waiting, as well as a couple fast boats there. A part of the recovery team, they'll first meet Dragon once it splashes down, make sure that the vehicle is safe, and then begin the recovery operations.
One of the next major milestones we're standing by for on board Dragon is the deploy of our drogue chutes. We have 2 sets of parachutes on board Dragon during reentry. The first are the drogues. We deploy those when the capsule, which we're getting great initial views on your screen. You said it earlier, but the fact that we've got these daytime views is great. So like I said, we're standing by for that drogue chute deploy. That will happen when Dragon is moving at about 350 miles per hour. Those chutes are designed specifically to be deployed.
Dragon, SpaceX, comm check. Dragon, SpaceX, comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, we have you loud and clear. How me?
We have you the same. We see a healthy flight computer. Expect automated chute deployment.
Dragon, copy.
A GPS has converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Dragon, copy.
Awesome. As you heard there, we have confirmation that we have come out of the blackout period and established comms back with the Fram 2 crew as they're making their way back down to Earth, and we are expecting those drogue parachutes to deploy here. Sounds like it's on time and at the expected altitude in just about a minute or so.
Yeah, which is all great news. We heard a lot of good confirmation from Mission Control back to Dragon. So again, those drogue chutes are special in that they are smaller and lighter than our main.
Brace for drogues.
Good.
Copy, brace for drogues.
You can see on your screen that the seats are rotating in preparation for splashdown, and the crew is bracing for the drogue parachutes. They're going to feel maybe a little bit of a jolt as the vehicle is going to slow down very quickly. And this is such an incredible view that we're seeing of Dragon because of the daytime views that we're getting here. This looks amazing.
So just ahead of the call out for drogue chute deployment, Dragon will autonomously safe the propulsion system on board and then deploy those drogue parachutes, which we just see on your screen right now. I can't get over these views today. And of course right now...
Visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Good news there for Mission Control.
Copy, we see the same. 2 healthy drogues.
And good response from our crew.
This is a view on board Dragon, looking at the drogues.
SpaceX Dragon, crew brace for mains.
Copy, brace for mains.
We are expecting the main parachutes to deploy here in under a minute or so.
So
wow.
Yeah, those are amazing. Right now, those drogue chutes are doing that initial slowdown, and it looks like we're getting views here of main parachute deploy.
We see visual on 4 healthy mains.
SpaceX Dragon, we see the same. 4 healthy mains.
And you can see that the main parachutes have deployed. They are expanding. Once they're fully expanded, they are going to slow the vehicle down all the way to about 16 miles per hour, right in time for splashing down into the Pacific Ocean today.
Right now, Dragon has saved all propulsion systems on board.
1,000.
Copy, 1,000 meters.
Dragon right now is also terminating the nitrox suit and cabin purges and is beginning to increase pressure in preparation for landing.
And additionally, the mission control team here in Hawthorne is reporting the precise landing coordinates to the recovery team so that they know exactly where
800.
Copy, 800.
Exactly where they're expected to touch down. And you are hearing those callouts. We are confirming the altitude as the vehicle makes its way back down to Earth.
And of course, now that we've had confirmation of both drogue and main parachute deployment with these great views of our crews inside Dragon on your screen now, our next major milestone is Splashdown.
Yeah, very excited with these awesome views that we're getting.
600.
600 meters.
Landing in water is simpler, therefore more reliable, and it provides more margin against unlikely parachute issues. Now, we had to learn how to make Dragon waterproof, but once you do, it's rinse, review, and reuse.
400.
Copy, 400.
If you're just now joining us,
Crew bracing for splashdown.
you are watching the Fram 2 crew make their way back down to Earth, and amazing daytime views. I love that we got the opportunity to do this. You could see Dragon and
200.
Copy, 200 meters and braced for splashdown.
inside of that Dragon capsule are the 4 Fram 2 crew members about to splash down here in just a few seconds. Welcome home from 2. We have confirmation of splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon has returned home with the Fram 2 crew. The SpaceX recovery ship and team have been waiting for Dragon splashdown, and they will now start making their way to the splashdown location.
Our teams have been ready and waiting for this return about 3 nautical miles away. So it's going to take them about 30 minutes to make their way to Dragon.
That was
SpaceX
incredible.
Dragon, stable 1.
Copy, stable 1. We see main chutes cut. On behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
Great confirmation there from our mission control team that we've seen main chutes cut. We do that to make sure that those main parachutes, once the capsule is safely back in the water, don't pick up any wind or drag the capsule. As we have our 3 recovery vessels, the main Shannon recovery vessel and those 2 fast boats on their way out to greet our crew.
System safety verifications are in progress. We'll report back when recovery personnel are en route.
Copy.
Pretty up-close view of the Dragon spacecraft. The Fram 2 crew still inside welcome back to Chun, Yannicka, Eric, and Rabia after their few days in orbit, in polar orbit around the Earth. Very excited to have them back home. They're actually not done with their research experiments. They do have one more coming up, which will be exiting the Dragon capsule unassisted. Now, we have done this before, just not in Dragon, so this will be a great experiment to have for ending their 4-day mission in space.
This crew really has contributed to a tremendous number of experiments. They did 22 while on orbit, contributing to a lot of firsts, as well as continuing some longitudinal studies that have been in work for quite some time. The most notable of these was a glucose monitoring experiment, which will help us better understand how glucose performs in the body on both short and long duration space flights.
Now, we're currently just waiting for the two fast boats as they're making their way to approach the vehicle. They are going to pick up those main parachutes out of the water and then approach the vehicle, ensure that the vehicle is safe. There's no hazardous gases around the Dragon capsule, and then they'll begin starting their rigging operations to be able to pull the Dragon capsule up out of the water onto the recovery vessel.
Right now, our Fram 2 astronauts are safely inside Dragon as we await for those recovery teams to arrive. Again, they have been stationed about 3 nautical miles away. And then during our final descent, our team was locking in on the precise GPS coordinates of Dragon on landing to communicate that to those recovery teams.
SpaceX is go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside in 1 minute.
And you can see that the fast
I can
boats...
copy expecting personnel alongside in 1 minute.
There you can see that the fast boats are now approaching. Hence the word fast. That was pretty quick. What a view. We are in the Pacific Ocean. This is the first time Dragon has splashed down off the west coast. It's so awesome that we got daytime views of this moment here. Now the recovery team is approaching the Dragon capsule. As I mentioned earlier, they are going to try and make sure that the vehicle is safe before they begin additional recovery operations.
At this point, Dragon has already autonomously completed several steps to safe itself following splashdown. For those of you just joining us, our mission has gone smoothly so far. Fram 2 successfully splashed down off the coast of Oceanside, California in the Pacific Ocean at 9:19 a.m. Pacific.
Dragon successfully re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, followed by deployment of its parachutes to slow the spacecraft down to a gentle splashdown. And again, we're now awaiting Dragon's recovery.
Great views from this drone that's overseeing recovery operations at the moment. Upon detection of landing, Dragon automatically releases those main parachutes to prevent the wind from pulling the spacecraft. Dragon then automatically safes any pyrotechnics still present on board the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations.
The astronauts remain seated in their suits at this point, but the onboard air conditioning keeps temperatures in check inside the spacecraft, and the communication systems on board remain powered so the crew can continue to communicate.
SpaceX has 2 fast boats in our recovery fleet, one of which you can see just behind Dragon, and a couple others moving around at the moment, that move quickly to the splashdown point. They're being followed by Shannon, our main recovery vessel, which will move into position upwind of the spacecraft.
Now, the two fast boats have very specific roles. The first approach is focused on immediate safety inspection of the spacecraft integrity and checking for any presence of hypergolic propellant vapors, ensuring that it is safe for Shannon to approach the Dragon spacecraft.
Then, once Dragon is cleared for full approach, the team begins rigging the spacecraft for water recovery by the recovery ship. The second fast boat is responsible for parachute recovery and also serves as a redundant boat to the first. And of course, if you've seen Joding in and out of the frame here, a team member of ours on a jet ski also helps to gather up the now detached parachutes.
It'll take a little over 10 minutes for the recovery crew to complete their safety checks, and then once they're complete, the team will begin preparing Dragon to be lifted into the recovery vessel. As part of the preparation for this lift, one member of the recovery team will climb on top of the spacecraft so that they can attach Dragon's hoist rings and connect the lifting lines. It will take us less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and for the crew to exit the spacecraft. And again, today, they will be exiting the spacecraft unassisted. And hopefully they were able to work out a lot in the last 3 days and potentially may not see much of a difference. We do know that while you're in space and you don't have gravity, you may lose some muscle mass and some bone density, but with a short trip and being able to have the workout equipment that they had, we'll see how their exiting of the spacecraft goes unassisted today.
We heard earlier in our webcast today, too, that that's not just them exiting the capsule. They're still wearing their spacesuits, obviously, and altogether the equipment that they're carrying weighs about 35 pounds, which may not sound like a lot, but after you've been up in zero gravity for quite some time,
right.
In our case, it's been about 3.5 days for our crew.
Hypergol sweeps and unfired ordnance checks are nominal. Rigging in progress. Approximately 25 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for PMC with the SpaceX flight surgeon.
Dragon copy on all and standing by for PMC with flight surgeon.
Good call-outs there that our first set of safety sweeps by that first fast boat are complete on board Dragon. Our recovery teams are now preparing to lower the vessel's hydraulic lift mechanism on board Shannon into the water to bring the spacecraft back up onto the ship. We have an on-deck translation system known as the nest, and that's where we'll put Dragon. Dragon will then remain in the nest during crew extraction and for the journey back into port.
Dragon is currently done being inspected. We did get the go that the vehicle is safe. And you could see there on your screen the recovery team member on board Dragon attaching some lifting rings and hoists in preparation for that lift.
We're getting some great images of it here, but recovery is really a very dynamic set of operations with a lot of teams moving closely coordinated to make sure that we can get those astronauts and Capsule safe.
The next call will be from the flight surgeon on Dragon and Ground Private.
Little more communication there from our core to our crew on board about what to expect. And obviously our teams are continuing to work here to make sure everyone is as safe as possible.
And you heard that call out that they're going to be talking on a private net. That's because they're performing medical checks with the crew to see how they're doing, how they're feeling, make sure that they're feeling okay after, again, that was a lot of dynamic events that were happening that they experienced coming back through the Earth's atmosphere. So just want to make sure that the crew is feeling okay and checking in with them.
Right now we have images on your screen of that first fast boat beginning to connect some of the lift rigging to the top of the Dragon capsule. And meanwhile, our recovery vessel Shannon is preparing to receive the Dragon on board so that we can do that egress of the crew.
Once again, if you're just now joining us, you are tuned in to the Splashdown program as Fram 2 has made their way back down to Earth. 4 crew members still patiently waiting inside of the Dragon capsule that you see there on your screen. And we are currently in procedure of the recovery operations. The next milestone that we should be able to visually see will be when the Shannon recovery vessel approaches the Dragon capsule, and then we will lift the capsule up out of the water into what we call the Dragon nest on board the recovery ship. And as a reminder, we typically have previously splashed down in the Gulf and off the coast of Florida. But today, we splashed down off the west coast in the Pacific Ocean for the very first time in Dragon. And the Fram 2 crew is still patiently waiting inside of the Dragon capsule there on your screen. We have Mission Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Yannicka Mick Nicholson, excuse me, our mission specialist Eric Phillips, and mission pilot Rabia Roga, completing their 4-day mission in polar orbit.
Our crew actually all met together in Svalbard, which is something that our commander, Chun Wang, shared on X while they were up in space. All of them have deep ties.
Dragon SpaceX, comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, repeat.
Comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, I have you loud and clear. Tell me.
I have you loud and clear as well, and Dragon to ground is no longer private.
Dragon copy.
Some additional communication there between our crew and mission control here in Hawthorne, California. Again, all of the polar explorers on board today have deep ties to the Arctic. That's where this crew met and kind of dreamt up this mission. And now we are currently waiting for their exit from the capsule, returning as the first polar explorers from space.
Dragon, be advised, we are transitioning our forward link. Comm will be unavailable for approximately 5 minutes.
Dragon copy on comm available for approximately 5 minutes.